I always say that mistakes are a kind of gift. When you fail, it's as if life is telling you, here's a personalized lesson for you. When I was young, I was rejected in more than 30 job interviews, including one for KFC. Out of 24 candidates, 23 were hired. Guess who was the only one rejected? That could have made me give up. But I realized that every no was an opportunity to refine my approach, learn something new, and most importantly, build my resilience. Notice that success never forces us to reflect, but failure always does. It makes you stop, look around, and ask yourself, what can I do better? During my journey with Alibaba, we made mistakes that seemed disastrous at the time. Once, a wrong decision almost drove us to bankruptcy. However, it was precisely that experience that taught us to be cautious with our money and to maintain discipline in our work. Think of mistakes as a bank where you accumulate experience. The more you deposit, the richer you become, not financially, but in wisdom and skills. And this wealth is something no one can take away from you. I remember a phrase I often repeat: if not now, when? If not me, who? That's what mistakes teach us: to act, learn, try again, and keep building. The most fascinating part is that mistakes not only teach us, but also make us more human. They connect us to one another, because who hasn't made a mistake? They remind us that we are imperfect, and that's what makes us unique. When we look at challenges with this mindset, we realize that instead of hiding from mistakes, we should embrace them. Just like Forrest Gump, who accepted the simplicity of life and kept moving forward, we can choose to see mistakes as essential chapters of our story. So the next time you make a mistake, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Every mistake is a chance to reinvent yourself and prepare for the next challenge. Mistakes are not signs that you should quit, but that you are growing. And who knows, in your next mistake, you might discover the key to something that will completely change your life. If there's one movie that changed my perspective on life, it was Forrest Gump. The simplicity of the character deeply resonated with me. He wasn't the smartest, the fastest, or the strongest, but he had something few people possess: an unwavering belief in what he was doing. I remember a night when I was exhausted and discouraged, and a friend suggested we watch the movie. That classic line stayed with me: life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. It made me think about how to face uncertainties with courage. Forrest taught me that it doesn't matter what people think of you, as long as you believe in what you're doing. When I started Alibaba, many called me crazy. How could someone without money, government support, or a conventional idea compete in the market? However, I knew that, like Forrest, I had to take one step at a time. Persistence, not perfection, was what truly mattered. Another powerful lesson I took from the film was about accepting the situations life throws at us without complaining. Forrest wasn't guided by the desire to impress, but by the dedication to completing what he started. This philosophy also influenced Alibaba's culture. I always encourage my team to act, even without all the answers, because I believe that if you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit, change yourself. Deep down, Forrest showed me that success is about consistency. You don't have to be the most talented to achieve great things. You need to believe that your actions, no matter how small they seem, have value. Like Forrest running without any apparent goal, he ended up inspiring thousands along the way. That's what we must remember. Your determination can impact more lives than you imagine. So when facing challenges, ask yourself, am I willing to keep going, even when everything seems uncertain? The answer to that question could be what separates those who merely dream from those who achieve. After all, life will never be predictable, but that's what makes it so interesting. When I think about the future, I see a world where creativity will be the most valuable skill anyone can possess. Machines can surpass us in calculations, data analysis, and even some aspects of decision-making. But there is something they can never replicate: human imagination. And it's precisely this that makes us irreplaceable. I often say, if you have a dream, you'll never feel poor. Creativity gives us the ability to imagine new possibilities, even in tough times. When we founded Alibaba, creativity was our greatest ally. We didn't have the resources that large companies had, but we made up for it with innovative ideas. We created unique ways to connect small businesses to global markets. I remember when we launched Singles Day in China. At the time, it was just an experimental idea. But today, it has become the largest shopping event in the world. It was proof that simple ideas, when executed with passion, can turn the impossible into reality. What makes creativity so powerful is that it comes from our ability to think independently. In a world where people are constantly bombarded with information, those who can filter out the noise and imagine something different will be the leaders of the future. Creativity isn't just for artists. It's an indispensable tool for solving problems in any field. From finding solutions for businesses to turning complaints into opportunities, innovation begins with the courage to think outside the box. I firmly believe that we must educate future generations to value their creativity. It's not just about learning to code or mastering artificial intelligence, but using those tools to create something meaningful. When you combine creativity with emotional intelligence, you develop skills that no machine can replace. The future belongs to those who know how to use their minds to create impact. So ask yourself, how can you use your creativity to transform your life and the lives of others? Remember, great innovations start with a simple idea, and sometimes what seems impossible today might define tomorrow. When I look toward the future, I see a world filled with opportunities and challenges. The changes ahead will be so rapid that many won't be prepared for them. Over the next 20 years, 50% of the jobs we know today will disappear. That might sound frightening, but it's actually a chance to rethink what work, learning, and success truly mean. The question I ask is, what are you doing today to prepare for that? I remember when the internet was just beginning. At that time, few people believed in its potential. While others doubted, I saw something clear. Technology would transform how we live, and only those who adapted would thrive. The same lesson applies to the future. We can't fight change, we must embrace it. Creativity, empathy, and continuous learning will be the real currencies of value. One of the keys to thriving in the future is learning to unlearn. Often what worked in the past becomes irrelevant in a new context. I think about today's youth, who have access to more information than we ever had. But information isn't knowledge. We need to learn how to turn data into wisdom, and that requires constant effort to adapt. If you want to catch the rabbit, don't change the rabbit. Change yourself. That phrase sums up how we must position ourselves in the face of change. I also believe the future will be shaped by people who value collaboration over competition. During Alibaba's early days, our team knew we didn't have all the answers, but we also knew that together we could find a way. Over the next 20 years, it will be even more essential to work as a team, share ideas, and build collective solutions to global problems. So I ask you, are you learning something new every day? Are you looking beyond the horizon to anticipate the changes to come? The future belongs to those who have the courage to prepare for it. Perhaps it's time to think not just about surviving, but thriving in the world of tomorrow. At the start of my journey, I learned a valuable lesson. If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. During Alibaba's development, one of my greatest strengths was the willingness to learn from people who were more skilled than I was. Acknowledging your own limitations isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. After all, no one achieves success alone. I often told my team, if I know everything, we're in trouble. That's why I need you. Surrounding yourself with talented people requires humility, but also courage. I remember a moment when I made a wrong decision that could have seriously hurt the company. It was a colleague, much more experienced in finance, who showed me a solution. That day, I realized that my true strength as a leader wasn't in knowing everything, but in being a facilitator for the talent around me. Teamwork is born from the humility to admit that no one has all the answers. Learning from others isn't just about absorbing technical knowledge, it's also about understanding different perspectives. During my travels around the world, I've spoken with small business owners, global leaders, and even university students. Every conversation brought me a new way of thinking. Often, the simplest points of view open doors to the most innovative solutions. Another thing I've learned is that we shouldn't fear criticism. It's a disguised form of learning. When I founded Alibaba, I received countless pieces of advice about why things wouldn't work. Yet every criticism helped me see flaws I hadn't noticed before. Accepting feedback is what turns good ideas into brilliant ones. If you want to grow, you must let others help shape your vision. So, ask yourself, who are you learning from today? The more you open yourself to the knowledge of others, the richer you become, not just in wisdom, but also in character. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this: by learning from others, you also become a source of inspiration for them. When we started Alibaba, we were just 18 people in a small apartment. We had no money, advanced technology, or influential connections. But we had something more powerful: a shared vision and trust in each other. I've always believed that individual talent can take you far, but teamwork is what builds something great. For me, success isn't about who is the best, but about who can unite forces to achieve a common goal. One of the biggest lessons I've learned from leading teams is that trust is the foundation of everything. In the beginning, many people told me my team wasn't good enough because they didn't come from prestigious universities or major companies. But I knew that what mattered wasn't the resume, but each person's determination. The true strength of a team lies in its ability to grow together and transform weaknesses into strengths. It's important to remember that a team only works when everyone knows their contribution is valued. I often say that in a great team, no one works for the leader. Everyone works for the purpose. When we faced crises like the dot-com bubble in the early 2000s, it was the spirit of collaboration and resilience in my team that kept us steady. At that moment, I realized that challenges don't destroy united teams, they strengthen them. Additionally, the success of a team lies in its ability to handle mistakes. I've always encouraged my team to experiment, even if it meant failing. After all, it's better to fail trying something new than to be paralyzed by fear. One example was when we launched Singles Day. Many thought it would be a flop, but the mutual support and creativity of the team turned a risky idea into a globally recognized event. So I ask, how are you collaborating with those around you? Great achievements don't come from a single individual, but from a collective vision. Perhaps the secret to success isn't in being a perfect leader, but in creating a team that feels part of something greater. People often ask me, how do you see the future before others do? I always tell them it's not magic. Predicting trends is about observing human behavior and needs that others ignore. When we founded Alibaba, I realized that the internet would become a massive part of our lives. At the time, few believed this vision. But I wasn't just looking at technology, I was looking at how people would use it to solve their problems and connect with others. The secret to predicting trends is to listen closely to what people are saying, and even more to what they aren't saying. Complaints, for example, are powerful indicators of what the world needs. I often remind my team that where there are complaints, there are opportunities. Small details like a local shop struggling to reach more customers can point to global solutions if you pay attention. Predicting the future isn't about focusing on the next shiny gadget. It's about addressing basic human needs. Education, for example, is an area where I believe we'll see revolutionary changes. Traditional systems won't prepare us for the jobs of tomorrow. This is why I see education and artificial intelligence as intertwined. AI will help us personalize learning and teach creativity, which machines can't replace. The next big trends will be shaped by those who understand the intersection of technology and humanity. One key lesson I've learned is that the best innovations come from addressing small but universal problems. For instance, the success of Alibaba wasn't just about e-commerce. It was about empowering small businesses to thrive in a digital world. So ask yourself, what are the overlooked needs around you? Often, the solutions to the world's biggest challenges are hidden in the smallest complaints. If you can anticipate those needs and act on them, you won't just predict the future, you'll create it. My life is proof that persistence can achieve what talent alone cannot. I wasn't the smartest student, nor was I naturally gifted in business. I failed my university entrance exams twice and was rejected from Harvard 10 times. Even when KFC came to my city, I was the only applicant out of 24 who didn't get hired. But I never let rejection define me. Instead, I saw every setback as a chance to keep going. Persistence, I believe, is a kind of superpower. It's not glamorous, and it's not something people celebrate, but it works. During Alibaba's early days, we faced countless rejections from investors who didn't believe in our vision. Some laughed at us. Others dismissed us as dreamers. But I often reminded myself, when you're poor, If you have a dream, you never feel poor. That dream kept me moving forward. The truth is, talent might open the first door, but persistence is what keeps doors opening when others would quit. It's like running a marathon instead of a sprint. Most people give up when the race gets tough, but those who endure will reach the finish line. Forrest Gump inspired me with his simplicity and determination. He kept running, not because he was the fastest, but because he believed in moving forward. There's something else about persistence. It builds character. Every rejection, every failure teaches you resilience. At Alibaba, we learned more from our mistakes than from our successes. Mistakes forced us to adapt and become stronger. Without those experiences, we wouldn't have been ready for the challenges that followed. So here's my advice. Don't rely solely on talent or intelligence. Instead, ask yourself, how determined are you to keep going when the odds are against you? Persistence isn't just a trait, it's the difference between dreaming and achieving. When people complain, I get excited. Why? Because complaints are opportunities in disguise. Early in my career, I realized that where people see problems, entrepreneurs see solutions. Alibaba itself was born from a simple question: how can we help small businesses sell online? At the time, many small shop owners in China were frustrated with the lack of tools to compete globally. That frustration became our mission. I always tell people, if you want great ideas, listen to complaints. Complaints highlight gaps in the market that are begging to be filled. For example, during our early days, sellers complained about the lack of trust in online transactions. That led us to create Alipay, a payment system designed to ensure secure and fair transactions. Today, it's one of the most trusted systems in the world. What's fascinating is that complaints also teach you to think differently. When everyone else is focused on solving the obvious problems, true innovators dig deeper. I remember asking my team, what is the real pain behind this complaint? Often the most successful solutions come from addressing the root cause, not just the symptoms. Turning complaints into opportunities isn't just about business, it's a mindset. It's about looking at problems not as barriers, but as invitations to innovate. When I traveled to developing countries, I saw countless challenges: limited access to education, poor infrastructure, but also immense potential. Where others saw difficulties, I saw chances to make an impact. So the next time you hear a complaint, ask yourself, what solution can I create? Problems aren't obstacles, they're maps pointing you to your next big breakthrough. And if you solve even one, you're creating value, not just for yourself, but for the world. Leadership, in my view, isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about wisdom, empathy, and a sense of responsibility. Early in my career, I realized that great leaders don't lead with their heads alone, they lead with their hearts. This is why I often speak about LQ, the love quotient. It's not just about IQ or EQ, it's about caring deeply for your customers, employees, and the world around you. I learned this lesson during the toughest times at Alibaba. When the internet bubble burst in the early 2000s, many of our competitors disappeared. What kept us afloat wasn't our technology or strategy, but our culture of trust and empathy. I made it a priority to communicate openly with my team, even when the news wasn't good. They knew I cared about their well-being, and that trust kept us united. Empathy also means putting yourself in others' shoes. I often ask myself, what does the customer truly need? That question has led to some of Alibaba's most innovative solutions. Whether it was creating Taobao for small sellers or building logistics networks for rural communities, empathy was the driving force behind every decision. Wisdom in leadership comes from learning from failures, not just your own, but those of others. I've met leaders who made critical mistakes because they prioritized short-term gains over long-term relationships. True wisdom is understanding that success is about people, not profits. As I often tell my team, if we take care of our customers and employees, the business will take care of itself. So, what kind of leader do you aspire to be? Great leaders don't demand respect. They earn it through wisdom and empathy. Perhaps the greatest legacy a leader can leave is not just a successful company, but a positive impact on the lives they touch. I grew up believing that anything was possible, but life taught me a valuable lesson. Dreams must be balanced with realism. Yet even when reality hits hard, that doesn't mean you should stop dreaming. I often tell young people to dream big, because even if not everything is achievable, trying is always worth it. I know this from personal experience. Harvard? Oh yes, I applied 10 times. Every time I was rejected, I often share with a laugh. In the beginning, it hurt. I questioned whether I was smart enough or capable enough. But over time, I realized that intelligence isn't the defining factor of success. Determination, resilience, and the willingness to keep going when the world says no are what truly matter. Rejections, to me, became the fuel to keep moving forward. Believing in the impossible means understanding that failure isn't the end, it's part of the process. Many doubted my vision for Alibaba. They thought a small team with no money couldn't compete with giants. But those doubts didn't stop me. In fact, they drove me to prove that with the right mindset, even the unthinkable can become reality. Dreaming isn't just about achieving personal success. It's about inspiring others along the way. When I reflect on our early days, I realize that what made our vision so powerful was its ability to ignite passion in those around us. A shared dream creates momentum, and momentum can move mountains. So I encourage you, what impossible goal are you working toward? Success isn't guaranteed, but the growth you experience in pursuit of it is invaluable. Sometimes, it's not about reaching the destination, but about who you become along the way. To me, failure is simply part of the journey, but giving up? That should never be an option. I've faced countless rejections, but each one brought me closer to a breakthrough. Let me tell you a story that still makes me smile. When I was young, I applied to become a police officer. 5 people applied, and 4 were accepted. Guess who was the only one rejected? It felt as though the universe was telling me, Jack, you need to find your own path. Later, I applied to work at KFC. 24 candidates applied, and 23 were hired. Once again, I was the odd one out. These stories became jokes among my friends, but for me, they were reminders that quitting wasn't an option. I had to keep trying, no matter how many times I was told no. Every no I received was a step closer to the yes that mattered. When we started Alibaba, nearly every investor we approached turned us down. They didn't see the potential we saw. But those rejections taught us to build resilience. It's like climbing a mountain. You can't avoid the steep paths, but you can choose to keep climbing. The truth is, failure builds strength. It forces you to learn, adapt, and try again with greater determination. Many people are afraid of failing, but I've found that the real danger lies in not trying at all. When you fail, you gain wisdom. When you quit, you lose everything. So, I ask, how do you handle failure? Are you letting it stop you, or are you using it as a stepping stone? Remember, failing isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a better version of yourself. Success, in my experience, isn't complicated. It's built on 3 simple pillars: hard work, persistence, and optimism. I often think of Forrest Gump when I reflect on this. His simplicity, coupled with his determination, allowed him to achieve the extraordinary. He wasn't trying to impress anyone. He was simply doing his best, one step at a time. When I started Alibaba, I didn't have a complex plan. I had a clear goal: to help small businesses thrive using the internet. That clarity allowed us to focus our energy where it mattered most. Even when we faced obstacles, our unwavering belief in our mission kept us moving forward. Simplicity is powerful because it eliminates distractions. It helps you focus on what truly matters. Many people get caught up in overthinking, trying to perfect every detail, but I've learned that progress often comes from taking consistent, simple steps. Complexity can paralyze you. Simplicity empowers you to act. Staying true to your values is another form of simplicity. Forrest Gump didn't try to be someone he wasn't, and that's what made him so inspiring. In the same way, Alibaba succeeded because we stayed authentic to our mission of empowering small businesses. When you align your actions with your values, success becomes a natural byproduct. So how can you simplify your path to success? Sometimes the most effective solutions are the simplest ones. The key is to stay focused, work hard, and never lose hope. The success of Alibaba wasn't built by one person. It was the result of a shared dream. From the very beginning, our team believed in a vision larger than any individual goal. I always say, a true leader isn't someone who achieves alone, but someone who inspires others to join the journey. In our small apartment, we didn't have money, advanced technology, or even a clear roadmap. but we had an unshakable belief that we could make a difference. That belief united us and gave us the strength to overcome challenges that seemed insurmountable. A shared dream is like a fire. It grows stronger when others add their fuel. Leadership, in my view, is about creating an environment where everyone feels part of something meaningful. It's not about giving orders. It's about empowering people to contribute their ideas and talents. At Alibaba, our vision was clear: to help small businesses succeed. That clarity inspired our team to work with passion and purpose. The beauty of a shared dream is that it multiplies. As Alibaba grew, our vision attracted more people who believed in what we were doing. Together, we achieved things that none of us could have done alone. It's proof that when people come together with a common purpose, they can accomplish the extraordinary. So what dream are you sharing with others? Great achievements don't happen in isolation. They're built on the collective effort of those who dare to believe in something bigger than themselves.
Jack Ma's recent talk left the audience deeply inspired, blending humor, insight, and hard-earned wisdom to deliver a powerful message about success in the modern world. The co-founder of Alibaba captivated millions with his bold insights, encouraging young people to rethink what it means to achieve greatness in a rapidly changing landscape. Jack Ma shared personal stories, practical advice, and visionary predictions that challenged conventional thinking and sparked a sense of urgency in the room. He began by sharing how his failures shaped his character and fueled his determination to build something meaningful. His rejection from dozens of job interviews, including KFC, and his struggles to gain acceptance into universities like Harvard were reframed as stepping stones to his success. Through these experiences, Jack Ma proved that mistakes are not the end, but the beginning of a new journey. This lesson resonated with anyone facing rejection or setbacks in their lives. Jack Ma also reflected on the lessons he learned from Forrest Gump, a movie that profoundly impacted his perspective on life. Comparing himself to the character's unwavering determination and simplicity, he reminded the audience that success doesn't require genius. It requires persistence. In a world obsessed with speed and perfection, this reminder felt both refreshing and empowering. A significant portion of his talk focused on creativity as the currency of the future. With automation and AI reshaping industries, Jack Ma emphasized the irreplaceable value of human imagination and independent thinking. His own journey at Alibaba, starting with no resources but big ideas, stood as proof that innovation begins where resources end. If you can dream it, he said, you'll never feel poor. Looking ahead, Jack Ma painted a vivid picture of the next 20 years, highlighting the importance of adapting to rapid change. He warned that half of today's jobs could vanish, but assured listeners that those who embrace continuous learning, creativity, and empathy will thrive. He encouraged the audience to stay curious and keep looking beyond the horizon for opportunities. The importance of teamwork and humility was another cornerstone of his message. Reflecting on the early days of Alibaba, he explained how trust and collaboration among a group of ordinary people built an extraordinary company. Jack Ma's humility and acknowledgement of learning from others served as a reminder that leadership isn't about knowing everything, but about empowering those around you. Finally, his insights on leadership struck a chord as he introduced his concept of LQ, the love quotient. Jack Ma explained that true leadership is rooted in wisdom and empathy. Whether taking care of customers or nurturing employees, success is a byproduct of putting people first. This compassionate approach to leadership resonated as a call to action for those striving to make an impact in the world. Jack Ma's advice wasn't just theoretical, it was actionable, inspiring the audience to view their challenges as opportunities and their dreams as achievable goals. His words carried the unmistakable energy of someone who believes deeply in the power of human potential, leaving the audience ready to take the first step toward their own transformation. Success is no longer just about talent, luck, or intelligence. It's about persistence, creativity, and a willingness to learn from every experience. After hearing Jack Ma's transformative insights, one thing is clear: your dreams are achievable if you approach life with resilience and purpose. The real question is, how will you apply these lessons to your own journey? Are you ready to turn your complaints into opportunities? To embrace failure as a teacher? To value teamwork over ego? These lessons are not just ideas. They are actionable steps you can take today. Start small. Identify one complaint you can solve or one area where you can show more persistence. Begin there and watch how your perspective transforms. What stood out most to you? Was it the idea of creativity being the currency of the future? Or perhaps the power of persistence over talent? Share your thoughts in the comments. Let others know how you plan to turn Jack Ma's advice into action. And remember, this is just the beginning. Revisit this video whenever you need motivation and don't miss the next one. How to plan the decade that will transform your life, Jack Ma's lessons, where we dive even deeper into strategies for success. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. You might never find it again if you don't hit that subscribe button now. Activate notifications so you won't miss the next wave of valuable content. Success starts with learning, and learning starts here. Let's keep growing together.